Maybe next time don't stand so close to the road, honey.
She was just trying to get to work. One careless splash, one moment of cruelty. That's all it took to set everything in motion. But what the woman in the luxury car that mocked her didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that someone was watching. Someone very powerful. Someone who never forgot a face. And what started as the worst day of Eva Anderson's life was about to become the beginning of something extraordinary. Because sometimes, the universe has a funny way of balancing the scales. Sometimes, karma doesn't just knock on your door. It arrives in a custom-tailored Tom Ford suit, driving a Bugatti Chiron, with eyes that could pierce through steel. This is the story of how one splash of muddy water changed 2 lives forever. The morning air in downtown Chicago was crisp and unforgiving. October had arrived with its usual indifference, painting the sky in shades of gunmetal gray. Puddles from last night's storm-dotted Michigan Avenue like liquid mirrors, reflecting a city that never quite slept and never quite cared. Eva Anderson pulled her thin jacket tighter around her shoulders, her breath forming small clouds in the cold air. At 22, she had the kind of beauty that made people do double takes. High cheekbones that could cut glass, warm brown eyes that held both wisdom and weariness, and a heart-shaped face framed by natural curls she'd carefully twisted into a neat bun at 4:30 that morning. She looked like she belonged on a runway in Milan, not walking to a cleaning job at 6 a.m. with worn-out sneakers that had seen better days. In her right hand, she clutched a paper bag containing her breakfast, a slightly stale bagel and an apple she'd been saving since yesterday. Her left hand held her work gloves, the industrial kind that protected your hands but never quite kept the cleaning chemicals from seeping through. Eva walked with purpose, her spine straight despite the exhaustion that lived in her bones. The Pinnacle Towers, Chicago's most exclusive residential building, expected their staff to arrive early and leave late. She couldn't afford to be late. Not again. Not after Mr. Hawthorne had given her that warning last week. "Third time's the charm," he'd said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "But there won't be a fourth, Miss Anderson." As she approached the intersection of Michigan and East Wacker, she heard it, the distinctive roar of an engine that cost more than most people earned in 5 years. Eva's head turned instinctively toward the sound. A pearl-white Lamborghini Urus was speeding down the street, clearly above the speed limit, clearly unconcerned with anything resembling traffic laws or common decency. The morning light caught its chrome accents, making it gleam like some mechanical predator. Eva stepped closer to the building, trying to give the car more space. But Chicago's streets were narrow, and the puddles were everywhere. Time seemed to slow down. The Urus hit a puddle the size of a small pond, and the laws of physics did what they always do. The water had to go somewhere. That somewhere was directly at Eva. The wave of muddy, oil-slicked water hit her like a tidal wave. It drenched her from head to toe, her hair, her face, her carefully pressed uniform that she'd ironed last night while her little brother slept. The cold water seeped through her jacket, her shirt, everything. Her breakfast bag disintegrated in her hands, the bagel hitting the sidewalk with a pathetic plop. For a moment, Eva just stood there, frozen, completely soaked, completely stunned, completely humiliated. Then she heard the laughter. The Urus had stopped about 30 feet ahead. The driver's window rolled down with an expensive purr, and a woman's face appeared. She was beautiful in that sharp, calculated way, platinum blonde hair blown out to perfection, makeup applied with surgical precision, sunglasses that probably cost more than Eva's monthly rent. "Oh my God," the woman shrieked, but she wasn't apologizing. She was laughing. "That was hilarious. Maybe next time don't stand so close to the road, honey. This is designer water-repellent leather interior. I can't have you expecting me to stop and ruin it." Another woman's voice from inside the car joined in the laughter. "Madison, you're terrible. That poor girl looks like a drowned rat." "She'll dry," Madison called out, still cackling. She flipped her hair over her shoulder. "Besides, she was probably on her way to clean toilets anyway. A little extra water won't hurt." The window rolled up, and the Urus roared away, leaving Eva standing in a puddle of her own destruction. Eva's hands trembled. Not from cold, though she was freezing, from humiliation, from rage, from the crushing weight of powerlessness. A few pedestrians had stopped to stare. Some looked sympathetic. Others pulled out their phones, probably already posting about the drama they'd witnessed. None of them helped. Eva bent down, trying to salvage what she could. Her bagel was ruined, crushed under a delivery truck that rumbled past. The apple had rolled into a storm drain. Her gloves were soaked through. She wanted to cry. God, she wanted to cry so badly. But Eva Anderson had learned a long time ago that crying didn't pay bills. Crying didn't put food on the table for her 12-year-old brother David. Crying didn't keep the lights on in their studio apartment in Inglewood. So instead, she took a deep breath, wiped the muddy water from her face as best she could, and kept walking. What Eva didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that someone had witnessed the entire scene. Someone who never forgot a face. Someone who had very particular feelings about people who thought money gave them permission to be cruel. Before we continue, we'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from? Hit that like button and subscribe to stay connected for more incredible stories like this one. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Now, let's proceed. Across the street, parked in front of the Chicago Board of Trade building, sat a midnight black Mercedes-Maybach S-Class. The windows were tinted so dark they seemed to absorb light itself. Inside, a man sat motionless, his eyes fixed on the scene that had just unfolded. John Lee was 31 years old and worth approximately $8.3 billion, though the number fluctuated depending on the stock market and his various international investments. He was the founder and CEO of Apex Global Holdings, a conglomerate that had its fingers in everything from luxury real estate to cutting-edge technology to sustainable energy. But what made John Lee truly remarkable wasn't his money, it was his presence. At 62, with shoulders that could carry the weight of empires, John looked like he'd been sculpted by an artist who understood that perfection existed, but chose to exceed it anyway. His face was all sharp angles and aristocratic lines, high cheekbones, a jawline that could cut diamonds, and eyes so dark and intense they seemed to see straight through people's souls. His black hair was styled in that effortlessly perfect way that took his stylist 45 minutes to achieve every morning. Today, he wore a charcoal three-piece suit by Tom Ford, a white shirt so crisp it could stand up on its own, and a watch that cost more than most luxury cars. He looked, in short, like God's apology for all the mediocre men in the world. John's driver, a 60-year-old man named Henry who'd been with the Lee family for 3 decades, cleared his throat. "Sir, we're going to be late for the board meeting." John didn't respond. His eyes were still fixed on the young woman across the street, soaked, shivering, but somehow still standing tall. He watched as she wiped her face, as she tried to salvage her ruined breakfast, as she checked her phone with trembling hands. "Who drives that car?" John asked quietly, his voice carrying the slight accent of someone who'd grown up speaking Korean at home, but perfected his English at Princeton. Henry glanced at the retreating Lamborghini. "I didn't catch the plates, sir." John pulled out his phone, a custom-made device that connected directly to his security network. He pulled up the traffic camera footage from the intersection, zoomed in on the Urus's license plate, and ran it through his database. 20 seconds later, he had his answer. "Madison Pierce," John read aloud. 28, daughter of Richard Pierce, founder of Pierce Luxury Developments, lifestyle influencer with 2.3 million Instagram followers. Known for, he scrolled through the report, excessive spending, public intoxication, 3 DUIs that daddy made disappear, and a reputation for being, and I quote, Chicago's most insufferable socialite. Henry raised an eyebrow. "Sounds like a real peach, sir." John's jaw tightened. "Find out everything about the girl she just soaked." "Sir." "The young woman, the one in the uniform. I want to know her name, where she works. Where she lives, her family situation, everything." Henry had worked for the Lee family long enough to know when to ask questions and when to simply obey. This was a simply obey moment. "Right away, sir." John took one last look at Eva, who was now walking away, her shoulders squared despite being drenched, despite the humiliation, despite everything. Something in his chest, something he'd thought had calcified years ago, shifted. And Henry. Yes, sir. Clear my schedule for the rest of the week. I have a feeling I'm going to be very busy. Eva arrived at Pinnacle Towers looking like she'd lost a fight with a car wash. Her uniform, a simple black dress with white collar that was supposed to look professional, clung to her body, dripping puddles with every step. Her sneakers made obscene squelching sounds on the marble floor of the service entrance. Mr. Hawthorne, the head of housekeeping, took one look at her, and his face went from neutral to purple in approximately 3 seconds. Anderson, his voice echoed through the service corridor. What in the hell happened to you? Eva's jaw tightened. I was splashed by a car, sir. I tried to dry off, but... I don't want excuses. Hawthorne cut her off, his considerable belly shaking with indignation. This is Pinnacle Towers. We have standards. You can't walk around looking like a drowned rat, Eva supplied quietly, remembering Madison's friend's words. Hawthorne's eyes narrowed. Don't get smart with me, Anderson. You're already on thin ice. I know, sir. I'm sorry. If you just give me 10 minutes to change. 10 minutes? The penthouse residents start waking up in 30 minutes. The floors need to be spotless, the windows need to sparkle, and you need to not look like you just crawled out of Lake Michigan. He pointed toward the storage room. There's a backup uniform in there. It's 3 sizes too big and smells like mothballs, but it's all we've got. Change, now, and then get to work. Floors 45 through 50. I want them perfect. Eva nodded, keeping her expression neutral even as shame burned through her chest. Yes, sir. As she walked to the storage room, she passed several of her coworkers. Jennifer, a middle-aged woman who'd always been kind to her, gave her a sympathetic look. Oh, honey, what happened? Long story, Eva muttered. As if there was a force somewhere trying to punish her for sins she didn't commit, she ran into Mike, a 25-year-old guy who'd been trying to ask her out for months so he could get his hands on her perfect body. Glancing at her, he smirked. Rough night, Eva. Or should I say, rough morning. He laughed at his own joke. Eva ignored him and disappeared into the storage room. The backup uniform was, indeed, 3 sizes too big and reeked of mothballs and regret. Eva changed quickly, trying not to think about how the dress hung off her like a garbage bag. She tied it as best she could with a piece of cord she found, pulled her still wet hair into a tighter bun, and stared at herself in the cracked mirror. You're fine, she whispered to her reflection. This is fine, everything is fine. Her reflection didn't look convinced. By 7:30 a.m., John Lee had a complete dossier on Eva Anderson sitting on his desk. He sat in his corner office on the 87th floor of the Apex Tower, the entire city of Chicago spread out before him like a chessboard. His office was a study in minimalist luxury, floor-to-ceiling windows, sleek modern furniture, a desk made from a single piece of rare Indonesian wood, and absolutely no clutter. Everything in John's life had a place, a purpose, a reason. He opened the file. Eva Maria Anderson age, 22 current address, 3421 S State Street, Apt 4B, Chicago, IL education, GED, obtained at 18, 2 years behind schedule employment. Pinnacle Towers, 6 a.m. 2 p.m. Monday, Saturday, housekeeping. O'Malley's Pub, 6 p.m. 12 a.m. Thursday, Sunday, server bartender. Family. Mother, deceased cancer 2021. Father, unknown absent. Brother, David Anderson 12. Legal guardian to David since age 19. Financial status, $847 in savings, $12,000 in medical debt from mother's treatment, 2 months behind on rent. John sat back in his chair, processing the information. She was working 2 jobs, raising her little brother alone, barely keeping her head above water, and somehow, she still managed to show up to work after being publicly humiliated and soaked in muddy water. His phone buzzed. It was his assistant, Sarah. Mr. Lee, the The Pierce account is requesting a meeting about the Michigan Avenue development. John's eyes narrowed. Pierce, as in Richard Pierce. Yes, sir. Pierce Luxury Developments. They want to discuss potentially partnering on. Cancel it. There was a pause. Sir. Cancel the meeting. Cancel all meetings with Pierce Developments. In fact, I want you to pull our investment from any project they're involved in. Mr. Lee, that's going to cost us approximately $40 million in projected revenue. I don't care. May I ask why? John looked at the photo of Eva in the file. A DMV photo where she still managed to look beautiful despite the bureaucratic grimness of the setting. Let's just say I've decided we don't do business with people who lack basic human decency. Sarah, who'd been John's assistant for 7 years and was generally unflappable, paused. Is this about what happened this morning? John raised an eyebrow. You know about that. Sir, you had Henry run a full background check on a random civilian and pull traffic camera footage. I figured something interesting happened. Despite himself, John smiled slightly. Pull all the footage from that intersection. I want every angle. And Sarah. Yes. I need you to do something for me. It needs to be subtle, completely untraceable, and it needs to happen today. I'm listening, she replied obediently. Eva was on her knees, scrubbing the floor of the 48th floor corridor when her supervisor, a perpetually anxious woman named Mrs. Chen, found her. Eva, there you are. Eva looked up, her hands raw from the industrial cleaner. Yes, Mrs. Chen. You need to come with me, now. Eva's heart sank. Did I do something wrong? Mrs. Chen's expression was unreadable. Just, come with me. They took the elevator down to the administrative offices on the 12th floor. Eva had never been here before. The housekeeping staff usually stayed in the service areas. This floor was all polished wood and soft lighting and the kind of quiet that money bought. Mrs. Chen led her to an office with frosted glass doors. Inside sat Mr. Pemberton, the building's general manager, a thin, severe-looking man in his 50s whom Eva had never actually spoken to. Miss Anderson, he said, not unkindly, please sit. Eva sat, her too large uniform rustling ridiculously. She felt like a child playing dress-up. Pemberton steepled his fingers. Miss Anderson, I've just received some very unusual news. It seems you've been awarded a scholarship. Eva blinked. I'm sorry, what? The Apex Foundation. Are you familiar with it? Eva shook her head. It's a philanthropic organization run by the Lee family. They focus on providing opportunities for exceptional individuals who face financial hardships. Pemberton slid a folder across the desk. Apparently, you've been selected to receive a full scholarship to the Hospitality Management program at Roosevelt University. Eva's mouth fell open. That's not possible. I didn't apply for any scholarship. According to this letter, you were nominated anonymously by someone who recognized your exceptional work ethic and untapped potential. Pemberton looked at her over his glasses. Congratulations, Miss Anderson. The scholarship covers full tuition, books, and even a living stipend of $2,000 per month. Eva felt like the room was spinning. I don't understand. Neither do I, frankly, but the letter is legitimate. I verified it myself. The program starts in January, which gives you 2 months to prepare. You'll attend classes in the evening so you can maintain your current employment if you choose. If I choose. Pemberton leaned back. Miss Anderson, between you and me, someone with a scholarship from the Apex Foundation could work anywhere in this city. You're no longer just a housekeeper. You're someone with a future. Eva walked out of Pemberton's office in a daze. The folder felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds in her hands. $2,000 a month, full tuition, a degree. A future. She found an empty stairwell and let herself cry. Just for a minute. Just long enough to let the relief wash over her like that muddy water had this morning. Her phone buzzed, a text from David. Mrs. Rodriguez says I can't do football unless we pay the $50 equipment fee. She says you promised last week. Eva's brief moment of joy evaporated. She'd forgotten, in the chaos of trying to survive. She'd forgotten her promise to her little brother. She texted back, "I'll figure it out, promise." "David, you always say that." The words stung because they were true. Eva wiped her eyes, straightened her ridiculous, oversized uniform, and went back to work. She still had 7 floors to clean, a double shift at O'Malley's tonight, and a brother counting on her. The scholarship was amazing. It was life-changing. But it didn't solve today. Meanwhile, across town, Madison Pierce was having the worst day of her life. She sat in her father's office, all leather and mahogany and testosterone, while Richard Pierce, CEO of Pierce Luxury Developments, stared at her with barely concealed fury. $8.3 billion. He slammed his hand on the desk. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Madison, still in her Pilates outfit from her morning class, looked confused. "What are you talking about?" "John Lee, the John Lee. He just pulled his company's investment from every project we're involved in. Do you know what that means?" I don't. It means we're about to lose the Michigan Avenue development. It means the Oakbrook project is dead. It means that 300 jobs are going to disappear because some Korean billionaire decided we're not worth doing business with." Madison's eyes widened. "Wait, John Lee, the John Lee. I met him at the charity gala last month. He seemed nice." "Well, he's not being nice now. And do you know what his assistant said when I called to find out why?" Richard pulled out his phone and read from an email. "Mr. Lee has decided to discontinue all business relationships with parties who demonstrate a lack of basic human decency." What the hell did you do, Madison? Madison's mind raced back through the past 24 hours. The charity event at the art museum, brunch with the girls, the nail appointment, the drive this morning. Oh no. There was this girl. I might have splashed her with my car. Richard's face went from red to purple. "You what?" "It was an accident. She was standing too close to the road. I didn't even." "Do you have any idea who that girl was?" "No, I mean she was just some cleaning lady or something." Richard closed his eyes like he was praying for patience. "Madison, please tell me you didn't splash John Lee's secret girlfriend or daughter or something." "I don't know. I didn't ask for her resume before I drove away." Richard stood up and walked to his window, looking out over Chicago. "I've spent 30 years building this company, 30 years, and my daughter might have just destroyed it because she couldn't be bothered to slow down for a puddle." "Dad, that's not fair." "Get out." "What?" "Get out of my office." He didn't turn around. "And Madison, your credit cards are canceled. Your penthouse is being sold. You're moving back home until you figure out how to be a decent human being." "You can't be serious." "Try me." Madison stomped out, her Gucci shoes clicking furiously on the marble floor. This was ridiculous. So she splashed some random girl. So what? The girl was fine. There's no way a cleaning girl would ever cross path with someone powerful and rich as John Lee. Maybe her dad was overreacting and he would calm down soon. She needed a couple of millions to host a party. Now isn't a good time to bring that up. Her phone buzzed. A notification from Instagram. Her eyes widened. Someone had posted a video. From this morning. The video showed everything. Madison's car speeding through the puddle, Eva getting drenched, Madison laughing and yelling cruel words, then driving away. The caption read, "When you're so rich you forget to be human. Madison Pierce disgusting, karma is coming." It had 500,000 views. In 2 hours. Madison felt her stomach drop. Oh God. Oh God, oh God, oh God. She was trending, and not in a good way. That evening, Eva finished her shift at Pinnacle Towers and headed to O'Malley's pub for her second job. She'd managed to change into her server uniform, black pants and a green O'Malley's t-shirt, and tied her hair into a high ponytail. Her feet already hurt from 8 hours of scrubbing and mopping, but she had another 6 hours ahead of her. The pub was crowded with the afterwork crowd, businessmen loosening their ties, groups of friends celebrating someone's promotion, tourists who'd wandered in from the magnificent mile. Eva moved between tables with practiced efficiency, taking orders, delivering drinks, clearing plates. She smiled even when customers were rude. She laughed at bad jokes. She pretended that her back didn't ache and her feet didn't throb. At 8:47 p.m., the door opened. Eva glanced up automatically, the way servers do when checking for new customers. Then her heart stopped. The man who walked in was, there weren't words, tall easily over 6 feet, broad-shouldered in a way that suggested he actually used those muscles, not just paid a trainer to sculpt them. He wore a black sweater that probably cost more than Eva's monthly rent and dark jeans that fit him like they'd been designed specifically for his body. His face was all angles and shadows, sharp jawline, high cheekbones, eyes so dark and intense they seemed to absorb light. He looked like he'd walked off a movie set, or Mount Olympus. Eva wasn't the only one who'd noticed. Every woman in the bar, and several of the men, turned to stare. The man scanned the room with those incredible eyes, and then, impossibly, they locked onto Eva. He smiled, just slightly, just enough, and started walking toward her section. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Eva looked down at her stained t-shirt, her plain black pants, her worn-out sneakers. She probably smelled like beer and French fries. This man looked like he'd never set foot in a place like O'Malley's, let alone ordered a drink from someone like her. And he looked so unfamiliar. Eva instantly knew that she has never seen this face before, so what could have brought him here? He sat down at one of her tables, a small booth in the corner. Eva took a deep breath, grabbed her order pad, and walked over. Hi, welcome to O'Malley's. Can I start you off with something to drink? His smile widened slightly. Up close, he was even more devastating. His cologne, something expensive and subtle, cut through the pub's usual smell of beer and fried food. What would you recommend? His voice was smooth, with just a hint of an accent that Eva couldn't quite place. The Guinness is good if you like dark beer, or we have a pretty decent whiskey selection. I'll have whatever you drink when you're having a rough day. Eva blinked. That was an odd request. I don't really drink, actually. Smart, then I'll have water. He paused. With lemon, if possible. Just water. Is that a problem? No, not at all, just most people come here for the alcohol. I'm not most people, he replied calmly, as if he was enjoying the conversation. And that was certainly true. There was no way such perfection in human body could blend well in a crowd. Eva nodded, feeling flustered. I'll get that right out for you. She turned to walk away when his voice stopped her. One more thing. She turned back. Yes. You handled today remarkably well. Eva froze. I'm sorry. But the man just smiled and pulled out a laptop, as if he hadn't just said something cryptic and slightly terrifying. Eva walked back to the bar in a daze. What did that mean? How did he know about today? Who was this guy? Earth to Eva. Tommy, the bartender, waved a hand in front of her face. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. There's a guy at table 7. Tommy glanced over. Holy shit, is that John Lee? Eva's head snapped up. Who? John Lee, the billionaire. He owns like half of Chicago. Tommy grabbed his phone and pulled up a Google image. Look. Eva looked at the photo. It was definitely the same man, though in the pictures he looked more formal, more intimidating. Those same sharp features, those same intense eyes. What's a billionaire doing at O'Malley's? Eva whispered. Maybe he's meeting someone, or maybe he's doing that thing rich people do where they pretend to be normal. Tommy shrugged. Anyway, you better go back. He shouldn't wait for his order. Eva grabbed the water he ordered, with extra lemon, just in case, and walked back to table 7 on shaking legs. John Lee was typing on his laptop, his fingers moving with the kind of precision that suggested he did everything exactly right the first time. Your water, Eva said, setting it down carefully. Thank you. He looked up at her, and Eva felt pinned by that gaze. What time do you get off work? Eva's eyes widened. Excuse me. Your shift, when does it end? I don't think I should tell you that. He nodded slowly. That's wise, you don't know me. For all you know, I could be dangerous. Are you? Dangerous? He seemed to consider the question. That depends on who you ask. But I promise you, Eva, I mean you no harm. Her breath caught. How do you know my name? He gestured to her name tag. Oh, right. Eva felt like an idiot. Of course. I'd like to speak with you when you have a moment. Nothing inappropriate, I give you my word, just a conversation. 5 minutes. He pulled a business card from his pocket and slid it across the table. My information is on here. If you decide you're willing to talk, you can call that number. Any time, day or night. Eva picked up the card with trembling fingers. John Lee, founder and CEO, Apex Global Holdings, followed by a phone number and email. The name of his company sounded familiar, but she was too tired to think about where she'd heard or read about it. After all, Tommy just mentioned he was a billionaire. Maybe he's famous too. I should get back to work, Eva said quietly. Of course, I won't keep you, he returned warmly. As Eva walked away, she felt his eyes on her back. Not in a creepy way, more like he was trying to solve a puzzle. John Lee sat in O'Malley's for exactly 1 hour. He ordered a second water and a plate of fries he didn't touch. He watched Eva work, the way she smiled at difficult customers, the way she helped an elderly woman who dropped her purse, the way she split her tips with the busboy who was clearly new and overwhelmed. At 10 p.m., he closed his laptop, left a $800 tip on a $3 check, and walked out without another word. Eva found the money 20 minutes later and nearly fainted. That night, Eva lay in her small bed in the studio apartment she shared with David, staring at John Lee's business card. David was asleep on the pull-out couch, his mouth slightly open, his homework scattered around him. He'd wanted to talk about the football equipment fee when she got home, but Eva had been too tired, too overwhelmed. She'd promised they'd discuss it in the morning. Now at 1:47 a.m., she couldn't sleep. A powerful billionaire was interested in her. She didn't know why, didn't know if it was good or bad. The scholarship had to be connected. It was too much of a coincidence otherwise. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I hope I didn't frighten you tonight. That wasn't my intention. JL. Eva's heart raced. How did he get her number? Before she could overthink it, she texted back. How do you have my phone number? The response came immediately. I have resources. I apologize if that's unsettling. I wanted to make sure you felt safe. Safe, you tracked down my phone number. That's the opposite of safe. Fair point. Would it help if I told you why I'm interested in helping you? Maybe. I saw what happened to you this morning. The woman in the Lamborghini. I was parked across the street. Eva sat up in bed, her heart pounding. You saw that? I did, and I was, affected by what I witnessed, by your grace in the face of cruelty. So you decided to what? Play fairy godmother. Fairy godfather. And yes, I suppose that's accurate, though my motives might be slightly more complicated than pure altruism. What does that mean? It means I'd like to get to know you, Eva. As a person, not as a charity project, but I understand if that makes you uncomfortable. Eva stared at the phone for a long moment. This was insane. Billionaires didn't text cleaning ladies at 2 a.m. They didn't give out scholarships to strangers. They didn't leave $800 tips on $3 checks. Unless they wanted something. What do you want from me? She texted. The response took longer this time. Honestly, I don't know yet, but I'd like to find out. Coffee tomorrow, 10 a.m. There's a cafe called The Grind on State Street. My treat. No pressure. If you don't show up, I'll understand and leave you alone. Eva should have said no. Every instinct told her this was too good to be true, too strange, too much. But that scholarship was real. The money was real. And maybe, just maybe, this man was actually what he seemed to be. Fine, 10 a.m., but I'm bringing pepper spray. I wouldn't expect anything less. Sleep well, Eva. Eva set her phone down and stared at the ceiling. What the hell was she getting herself into? The next morning, Eva woke up with exactly 3 hours of sleep and a stomach full of butterflies that felt more like wasps. She stood in front of her tiny closet, really just a rod with a curtain, and stared at her limited options. 2 cleaning uniforms, 3 O'Malley's shirts, a pair of jeans with a hole in the knee, a sundress she'd bought at Goodwill 2 years ago, and one nice outfit, black slacks and a cream blouse she wore to parent-teacher conferences for David. "Why do you look so stressed?" David mumbled from the couch, rubbing his eyes. "I have a meeting." "What kind of meeting?" "The kind that's none of your business. Come on, get up. You need to get ready for school." David groaned but rolled off the couch. "Did you think about the football thing?" Eva's chest tightened. "David, I told you." "You told me you'd figure it out. That was a week ago, Eva. Coach says if I don't pay by Friday, I can't play, and tryouts are Saturday." "I know, You always say you know, but you never actually do anything." David's voice cracked. At 12, he was stuck between boy and man, his voice doing that awkward thing where it couldn't decide which to be. Mom would have figured it out. The words hit Eva like a physical blow. "That's not fair," she whispered. "Yeah, well, neither is being the only kid who can't afford the equipment fee." David grabbed his backpack and headed for the door. "I'll get breakfast at school." "David, wait." But he was already gone, the door slamming behind him with a finality that made Eva's heart hurt. She stood there in her old t-shirt, staring at the closed door, feeling like the world's worst guardian. Her phone buzzed, a text from John Lee. "Looking forward to seeing you in an hour. No pressure, just 2 people having coffee." Eva looked at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Dark circles under her eyes, hair that desperately needed a deep conditioning treatment she couldn't afford, skin that was flawless, at least one gift from her mother's genetics. She thought about how different her life was compared to Madison Pierce, who's probably waking up in her luxury penthouse with a team of people to make her look perfect. Then she thought about John Lee, who somehow already knew everything about her and still wanted to have coffee. "Screw it," Eva muttered. She put on the black slacks and cream blouse, twisted her hair into a neat bun, and applied the tiniest bit of the drugstore makeup she saved for special occasions. The woman staring back at her in the mirror looked tired but determined. That would have to be enough. The Grind was one of those aggressively hip coffee shops that served lattes with foam art and pastries that cost $20 each. Eva had walked past it 1,000 times but never gone in. It wasn't for people like her. She arrived at 9:58 a.m., exactly 2 minutes early because showing up late felt disrespectful even if the person waiting for you was a billionaire who'd basically stalked you. John Lee was already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 coffee cups in front of him. He stood when he saw her, actually stood, like they were in some period drama, and smiled. Today he wore a navy sweater that probably cost more than Eva's entire savings, dark jeans, and boots that looked like butter. His hair was slightly less perfect than last night, like he'd actually run his hands through it like a normal person. He was still devastatingly handsome, unfairly so. "Eva, thank you for coming." He pulled out her chair. Eva sat, feeling awkward. "You didn't have to stand." "My mother would haunt me if I didn't." He sat across from her, pushing one of the coffee cups toward her. "I didn't know what you liked, so I got you a vanilla latte, but if you want something else." "This is fine, thank you." They sat in silence for a moment. Eva noticed that several people in the cafe were staring at them, or more specifically, at John. A few were holding up their phones, probably taking pictures. "Does that happen a lot?" Eva asked, nodding toward a woman who was very obviously photographing them. John glanced over without concern. "Constantly, you get used to it." "I don't think I would," she replied. "You might surprise yourself." He took a sip of his coffee, black, no sugar, and studied her. "How are you feeling about yesterday?" "Which part?" "Getting splashed, humiliated, finding out I somehow got a scholarship I didn't apply for, or being visited by a mysterious billionaire who knows way too much about me." John's lips quirked. Fair. Let's start with the scholarship. I want to be transparent with you, Eva. I arranged it. Why? Because I saw what happened to you and I saw how you responded. Most people would have screamed, cried, demanded justice. You just kept going. That kind of strength is rare. He leaned forward slightly. I built my company on the principle that potential matters more than pedigree. You have potential that's being wasted scrubbing floors. There's nothing wrong with scrubbing floors. I didn't say there was. My mother cleaned houses for 15 years. It's honest work. But you're capable of more, and circumstances are holding you back. I want to remove those circumstances. Eva's hands tightened around her coffee cup. And what do you get out of it? Maybe nothing. Maybe the satisfaction of knowing I helped someone who deserved it. He paused. Or maybe, if I'm being completely honest, the chance to get to know someone who reminds me that not everyone in this city is Madison Pierce. You know her. Of her, our families run in the same circles, though I avoid those circles when possible. His expression darkened slightly. I pulled my company's investment from her father's business yesterday, $40 million. Eva's eyes widened. Because of what she did to me. Because of what she is, the splash was just the confirmation. John set down his coffee. I don't do business with people who treat others as disposable. That's insane. You lost $40 million over a stranger. I didn't lose it, I redirected it, and you're not a stranger anymore. His dark eyes met hers. I'd like to change that further if you're willing. Eva's heart was pounding. This was surreal, impossible. What does that mean? It means I'd like to see you again, talk with you, learn about you beyond what's in a background check. He smiled slightly. Preferably without you thinking I'm stalking you. Despite herself, Eva laughed. The pepper spray is in my purse. Good. A woman who takes her safety seriously is a woman who survives in this world. He leaned back. I know this is overwhelming. I know I've inserted myself into your life in a way that's probably terrifying. But I promise you, Eva, I'm not trying to control you or buy you or manipulate you. I just want to know you. Eva stared at him, trying to figure out if this was real, or if she'd hit her head on something at work, and was currently in a coma having a very elaborate dream. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why me? And don't say it's because I handled being splashed with grace. There are thousands of people in this city working 2 jobs and struggling. Why did you decide I was worth $40 million of redirected investment and a scholarship? John was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer. When I was 7, my mother and I lived in a basement apartment in Seoul. My father had left us, and she worked 3 jobs to keep us fed. One day, she was walking home from cleaning an office building, and a businessman in an expensive car splashed her with dirty water. He laughed, just like Madison Pierce laughed. John's jaw tightened. My mother came home soaking wet, humiliated, but she didn't cry. She dried off, made me dinner, helped me with my homework, and then went to her night shift. I asked her why she didn't yell at the man, and she said, because his cruelty doesn't define me. My response to it does. Eva felt her throat tighten. She died when I was 15, John continued. Cancer. By then we'd moved to America and I'd started my first business. I'd managed to make enough to get her treatment, but not enough to save her. He looked directly at Eva. When I saw Madison splash you, I saw my mother. And when I saw you keep walking with your head up, I saw the strength that I've spent my entire adult life trying to honor. So yes, Eva, you're worth $40 million. You're worth more than that. Eva felt tears prickling her eyes. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Just give me a chance to prove I'm not a creep or whatever else you're worried I might be. Let me be someone who saw another person in pain and wanted to help. Can you do that? Eva took a shaky breath. Okay. Okay. Okay, but I have conditions, she added. John smiled, a real smile that transformed his entire face. Name them. 1, you don't interfere with my jobs unless I ask. I need to keep working both for the money and for my sanity. 2, you don't do anything else for me without asking me first. No more surprise scholarships or mysterious gifts. 3, If I tell you to back off, you back off immediately. No questions, no arguments. Done, done, and done. John extended his hand. Deal. Eva shook it. His hand was warm, his grip firm but not crushing. Deal. Quick break. If you're loving this story, drop a comment with your favorite moment so far. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an upload. We've got plot twists coming that you will not see coming. Now, back to the drama. Across town, Madison Pierce was having what could only be described as a complete meltdown. She sat in her childhood bedroom, a room she hadn't slept in since she was 18 and escaped to her penthouse, scrolling through social media with mounting horror. The video of her splashing Eva had gone viral. Not just viral, viral. 4.3 million views. It had been picked up by local news stations. Someone had made it into a meme. BuzzFeed had written an article titled "Entitled Rich Girl Gets What She Deserves." Her Instagram comments were a nightmare. This is disgusting. You're disgusting. Imagine being this heartless. Your daddy's money can't buy you class. I hope karma destroys you. And worst of all, anyone know who the girl is? Let's start a GoFundMe for her. Someone had started a GoFundMe for Eva. The mystery woman Madison had splashed. It had raised $47,000 in less than 24 hours. Madison threw her phone across the room, where it bounced off her designer wallpaper and landed on her plush carpet. There was a knock on her door. What? Madison screamed. Her mother, Patricia Pierce, entered. Patricia was 53, but looked 40 thanks to excellent genetics and even better plastic surgery. She wore a Chanel dress and an expression of deep disappointment. Your father wants to see you. Tell him I'm busy having my life ruined. Madison, this is serious. You think I don't know that? Madison stood up, her hands shaking. I've lost 2 brand deals. My agency dropped me. People are sending me threats over a puddle of water. Patricia's expression didn't soften. Over cruelty, there's a difference. Oh, so you're on their side now. There are no sides, Madison. There's just consequences. Patricia sat on the edge of the bed. You've spent 28 years acting like the world exists to serve you. Maybe it's time to learn differently. This is unbelievable. My own mother has turned her back at me too. Your own mother loves you enough to tell you the truth. You're not a bad person, Madison, but you've done bad things and now you're facing the results. Patricia stood. Your father is waiting. I suggest you don't keep him waiting longer. Richard Pierce's home office was all dark wood and leather, a room designed to intimidate. It had certainly intimidated Madison when she was younger and had to explain why she'd wrecked her 3rd car. Now, at 28, she was still intimidated. Richard sat behind his massive desk, looking at his computer screen with an expression that could curdle milk. Sit. Madison sat. Do you know what this is? Richard turned his monitor toward her. It was an email from John Lee's legal team. Pierce Luxury Developments is hereby notified that Apex Global Holdings is withdrawing all investment, partnership agreements, and future business considerations effective immediately. This decision is final and non-negotiable. He's blacklisting us, Richard said quietly. Not just pulling his money, he's making sure no one else will do business with us either. I've had 3 other investors pull out this morning. 3, because John Lee decided we're not worth his time. That's insane. He can't just. He can. He's John Lee. He could buy and sell our entire company 5 times over and not notice the dent in his bank account. Richard leaned forward. Do you understand what you've done? This isn't about a car or a puddle or some random girl. This is about John Lee seeing proof that the Pierce family lacks character. And in this city, Madison, character is everything. Madison felt something cold settle in her stomach. What do you want me to do? I want you to fix it. How? Find the girl, apologize, publicly, make it right. Richard's voice was steel. And then I want you to figure out who you actually are when you can't buy your way out of problems. Eva returned to work at Pinnacle Towers that afternoon feeling like she was floating. The coffee with John had lasted 3 hours. They'd talked about everything. Her mother, his mother, their childhoods, their dreams. He'd asked her about David, about her jobs, about what she wanted from life. And he'd listened, really listened. Not the way men usually listen to her, waiting for their turn to talk or staring at her body. He'd looked into her eyes and absorbed every word like it mattered. It was intoxicating. When she arrived at the employee entrance, Jennifer grabbed her arm. "Oh my God, Eva, is it true?" "Is what true?" "The GoFundMe. Someone started a GoFundMe for you, for what that rich girl did." Jennifer shoved her phone in Eva's face. Eva stared at the screen. "Help EVA. SPLASHED but not broken." This morning, a young woman named Eva was splashed with muddy water by a careless driver who then laughed and drove away. Let's show Eva that kindness still exists. All donations will go directly to helping her and her family. Current amount, $51,392. Eva's knees went weak. I don't understand." "Someone posted the video. It's everywhere. You're famous." Jennifer was practically bouncing. "This is amazing." Famous? Eva was famous. For being humiliated. The floating feeling evaporated, replaced by something heavy and uncomfortable. Her phone buzzed, a text from John. "Have you seen the GoFundMe?" "Just found out," she texted back. "How do you feel about it?" Eva thought about it. How did she feel? Grateful, embarrassed, confused, all of it, she admitted. That's understandable. For what it's worth, people are donating because they admire your dignity, not because they pity you. Feels like pity. Then use it as something else. Use it as proof that good people outnumber bad ones, that strangers believe you deserve better. Eva smiled despite herself. "When did you become a philosopher?" "I've always been one. You just bring it out of me." The smiley face emoticon from a billionaire made Eva laugh out loud. "What's so funny?" Jennifer asked. "Nothing, just life is weird." Weird good or weird bad? Eva thought about John Lee's smile, the scholarship, the GoFundMe, David's anger and tantrums, Madison's cruelty. "I honestly don't know yet." That evening, Eva sat down with David after making them dinner. Spaghetti with jarred sauce, garlic bread from the discount bin, and apple slices. "I'm sorry about this morning," Eva said quietly. David pushed his spaghetti around his plate. "Me too. I shouldn't have said that thing about Mom." "You're frustrated. I get it." "It's just, I know you're trying, Eva. I know you work really hard. But sometimes it feels like no matter how hard you work, we're still stuck." Eva reached across their tiny table and took his hand. "I know, but David, things are changing." "What do you mean?" Eva pulled up the GoFundMe on her phone and showed him. David's eyes widened. "Holy crap." "Language." "Holy crap, Eva, that's so much money." "I know, and I've been accepted to a scholarship program for hospitality management. It means I can go back to school." David looked up at her, his eyes shining. "Really?" "Really, it starts in January, but the scholarship includes a monthly stipend, which means..." Eva took a deep breath. "Which means you can play football, and we can move to a better apartment, and maybe things are finally going to be okay." David jumped up and hugged her so hard, they almost fell over. "I'm sorry I've been a jerk," he mumbled into her shoulder. "You haven't been a jerk. You've been a kid dealing with too much too soon." Eva hugged him back. "But we're going to be okay, I promise." For the first time in 2 years, she actually believed it. Madison Pierce did something she'd never done before. She hired a private investigator. Not to dig up dirt on Eva, though old Madison might have. New Madison, or at least Madison trying not to get completely destroyed, wanted to find Eva to apologize. The pie, a gruff man named Dennis who smelled like cigarettes and disappointment, delivered his report in 48 hours. Eva Anderson, 22, works at Pinnacle Towers and O'Malley's Pub, raises her 12-year-old brother alone, mother died of cancer, financially struggling but clean record, not even a parking ticket. Everyone who knows her says she's sweet, hardworking, too nice for her own good. Dennis slid the folder across the coffee shop table. In short, you splashed a literal angel. Madison winced. Great, that's great. You want my advice, he continued. Not particularly. I'm giving it anyway. Apologize, publicly. Don't make it about you, make it about her. And mean it because people can smell fake remorse from a mile away. Madison took the folder and left without tipping. She sat in her car, a Porsche now, since her father had repossessed the Lamborghini, and stared at Eva's employee photo from Pinnacle Towers. Eva was beautiful, not in the artificial, constructed way Madison and her friends were beautiful. Eva's beauty was effortless, natural, the kind that didn't need filters or contouring. Madison felt something she wasn't used to feeling: shame. Real, actual shame. Eva was mopping the 47th floor when her supervisor, Mrs. Chen, found her. Eva, there's someone here to see you. Eva frowned. Who? She says her name is Madison Pierce. Eva's heart stopped. What? I know. I told her to leave, but she says she'll wait all day if she has to. Mrs. Chen looked concerned. Do you want me to call security? Eva should have said yes, should have had Madison thrown out. But curiosity, and maybe something else, made her shake her head. No, I'll talk to her. Give me 5 minutes to clean up. Eva washed her hands, straightened her uniform, and took several deep breaths. When she walked into the small employee waiting area, Madison stood up immediately. In person, Madison was even more polished than in the video. Perfect blonde hair, designer clothes, makeup that probably took an hour. But her eyes were red, and her hands were shaking. Hi, Madison said quietly. Thank you for seeing me. I haven't decided if I should throw my mop water at you yet, so don't thank me. Madison's lips quirked despite herself. That would be fair. They stood there, two women from completely different worlds, staring at each other. Why are you here? Eva asked finally. To apologize for what I did, for who I've been. Madison took a shaky breath. I was cruel, unnecessarily, pointlessly cruel, and I'm sorry. Eva crossed her arms. You're sorry because you went viral, because your dad's business is tanking, because people hate you now. Yes, Madison said, surprising her. That's all true. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't faced consequences. I'm not going to lie and pretend I'm some reformed saint who suddenly saw the light. She looked directly at Eva. But that doesn't make the apology less real. I was wrong. You didn't deserve that, and I'm sorry. Eva studied her, trying to detect the lie, the angle, the manipulation. But Madison just looked, tired and human. Okay, Eva said finally. Okay. I accept your apology, not because I forgive you, I don't, not yet, but because holding onto anger takes energy I don't have to spare. Eva uncrossed her arms. You want to make it right, actually right. Yes, anything. The GoFundMe, all that money people donated, I want you to match it, anonymously, and donate it to a cancer research fund in my mother's name. Eva's voice was steady. Then we're even. Madison's eyes widened. That's over $50,000. I know, can you afford it? Barely, but yes. Then do it, that's my price for forgiveness. Madison nodded slowly. Okay, I'll do it. Good, now leave, I have work to do. As Madison turned to go, Eva called after her. Madison. Yes. The next time you see someone struggling, someone working hard, someone who seems like life keeps knocking them down, remember what it felt like when life knocked you down. Remember that everyone's fighting a battle you know nothing about. Madison's eyes filled with tears. I will, I promise. And then she left. Eva stood there for a moment, feeling lighter somehow. Her phone buzzed. John. I heard Madison came to see you. Are you okay? How do you always know everything? I have people everywhere. Are you okay? I am, surprisingly. I'll tell you about it later. Dinner tonight. My treat, somewhere fancy. I work at O'Malley's tonight. Then late dinner. 11 p.m. I'll wait. Eva smiled. You're persistent. Only about things that matter. John picked Eva up at O'Malley's at 11:03 p.m., driving himself in a sleek black Audi that probably cost more than Eva would earn in 5 years. Where are we going? Eva asked, sliding into the passenger seat. The interior smelled like leather and that expensive cologne. You'll see. They drove through Chicago's glittering downtown, past the tourist areas, into a neighborhood Eva didn't recognize. Finally, John pulled up to a building that looked abandoned. Old brick, broken windows, graffiti on the walls. John, are you actually a serial killer? He laughed. Come on, trust me. They took an industrial elevator to the top floor. When the doors opened, Eva gasped. The entire floor had been transformed into a rooftop garden, fairy lights strung between planters, comfortable furniture arranged in cozy groups, and a table set for two in the center, complete with candles and fresh flowers. Eva couldn't find words. This building is one of my renovation projects, John explained, leading her to the table. It's going to be affordable housing for families, but the rooftop garden won't be finished for months. I thought we could have a preview. They sat, and John pulled out containers of food from a nearby warming station. I hope you like Thai food. There's this amazing place in Chinatown that... John, Eva interrupted him. Why are you doing all this? He set down the container and looked at her directly. Because you deserve someone making an effort. Because in a world where Madison Pierces exist, I want to be proof that good people do too. Because, he paused, because I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since that morning, and I wanted to do something special. Eva felt her heart race. This is insane. You know that, right? We barely know each other. Then let's change that. John poured her a glass of wine. Tell me something I don't know about you, something not in the background check. Eva laughed. God, that's creepy. I know. I'm working on being less creepy. Good luck with that. Eva took a sip of wine. It was delicious, of course. Okay, something you don't know. I wanted to be a dancer when I was little, like professional ballet. What happened? Life, Mom got sick, money got tight, dreams became luxuries. Eva shrugged. I still dance sometimes, though, in my apartment when David is asleep, to old music videos on YouTube. Dance for me. Eva's eyes widened. What, no? Why not? Because I haven't danced for anyone in years, and I'm not good enough, because... John stood and extended his hand. Because you're scared, but Eva, you don't have to be scared with me. Eva stared at his hand. This was ridiculous, insane. She took it. John pulled out his phone, selected a song, something slow and jazzy, and set it on the table. Then he stepped back and watched. Eva closed her eyes, took a breath, and let the music move her. She wasn't perfect. Her movements were rusty, uncertain. But there was something raw and beautiful about the way she moved, the way she forgot to be self-conscious, the way the joy crept across her face. When the song ended, she opened her eyes. John was staring at her, with an expression she couldn't quite read. What? She asked, suddenly self-conscious again. You're extraordinary, he said softly. You know that. Eva felt heat rise in her cheeks. I'm really not. You really are. John stepped closer. Eva, I know this is fast, I know it's overwhelming, but I need you to understand something. I'm not playing games, I'm not bored, and I'm not collecting a charity case. I'm falling for you, hard and fast and probably stupidly, but it's happening anyway. Eva's breath caught. John. You don't have to say anything, I just needed you to know. He smiled slightly. Now come on, let's eat before the Thai food gets cold. They sat and ate and talked for hours, about everything and nothing. About John's struggles building his company. About Eva's memories of her mother. About their fears and hopes and dreams. At 3 a.m., John drove her home. He walked her to her door, his hand resting gently on the small of her back. Thank you for tonight, Eva said softly. Thank you for giving me a chance. They stood there, the hallway dim and quiet, close enough that Eva could feel his warmth. John leaned down slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. The kiss was soft, gentle, perfect. It tasted like wine and possibility. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. "Good night, Eva," John whispered. "Good night, John." Eva watched him walk away, her fingers touching her lips, her heart absolutely singing. Inside the apartment, David was awake, playing video games with the volume low. "You kissed him, didn't you?" he said without looking up. "How did you?" "You have that look, like you just won the lottery or something." Eva laughed and ruffled his hair. "Go to bed, David." "Is he good to you?" Eva paused, touched by the protective edge in her little brother's voice. "Yeah, he really is." "Good, because if he hurts you, I'll kick his ass." "You're 12. Doesn't matter, I'll grow." Eva hugged him tight. "I love you, you know that." "Love you too. Now seriously, go to bed. You look like a zombie." The next 3 weeks were a blur of magic and mundane reality. Eva started her classes at Roosevelt University, evening courses in hospitality management, business administration, customer service excellence. Her professors were impressed by her work ethic, her insights drawn from actual experience rather than textbook theory. She kept both her jobs, though she cut back hours at O'Malley's. The GoFundMe money, which she'd initially refused to touch, eventually went into a college fund for David and an emergency savings account. Madison had indeed matched the donation to cancer research, though she did it so quietly Eva almost missed it. And John was everywhere and nowhere. He respected her boundaries, never pushing too hard but always present. Coffee before her morning shift, texts throughout the day, late dinners after work. They went to museums, movies, walks along Lake Michigan. He introduced her to his world slowly, a gallery opening here, a charity gala there, always making sure she felt comfortable, never forcing her to be someone she wasn't. The media caught on, of course. Billionaire John Lee dating former cleaning lady became tabloid gold, but John handled it with grace, releasing a simple statement. "Eva Anderson is an exceptional woman who I'm privileged to know. Our relationship is private, and we'd appreciate respect for that privacy." It didn't stop the photographers, but it helped. Madison, meanwhile, had disappeared from public life. Her social media went dark. Her father's company slowly rebuilt its reputation. Rumors circulated that she'd started volunteering at a homeless shelter, though Madison herself never confirmed it. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. Eva should have known it wouldn't last. "Don't you dare go anywhere. We've got a massive twist coming that changes everything. Hit that subscribe button and buckle up. This is about to get wild. Now let's proceed." It was a Thursday afternoon, when Eva's world tilted on its axis. She was in class, taking notes on hospitality industry trends, when her phone buzzed with an urgent call from David's school. "Miss Anderson, this is Principal Ramirez. I need you to come to the school immediately." Eva's heart stopped. "Is David okay?" "He's physically fine, but there's been an incident. Please come as soon as possible." Eva grabbed her bag and ran. When she arrived at Lincoln Middle School, she found David sitting outside the principal's office with a split lip and bloodied knuckles. "David, what happened?" "Some kids were talking trash about you," David muttered. "About you and John, saying you were saying things. I told them to shut up. They didn't, so I made them." Principal Ramirez called Eva into her office. "Miss Anderson, David started a physical altercation with 3 other students. Normally, this would mean suspension. He was defending me." "I understand, but school policy is clear. However," Ramirez leaned forward, "the other boys were using some very inappropriate language about you, language that has no place in this school, so I'm proposing in-school suspension for all 4 boys. 1 day. Fair." Eva nodded, numb. Fair. Outside, she sat next to David on the bench. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I know I'm not supposed to fight." "What were they saying?" "Does it matter?" "David." He looked at her, his eyes older than 12. They said you were a gold digger, that you were using John for his money, that you were. They used really bad words, Eva, words I won't repeat. Eva closed her eyes. Oh. It's not true, right? You really like him. I do, I really do. Then screw them. David's voice was fierce. Let people talk, you know the truth. Eva hugged her little brother, this boy who was trying so hard to be a man. You can't fight every battle for me, David. Watch me, he returned confidently. That night, Eva told John about the incident. They were at his penthouse, a massive space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. She'd been here a few times now, and it still made her dizzy. John's expression darkened as she talked. Names, I want their names. John, they're 12-year-old boys. I don't care. No one talks about you like that. You can't fight 12-year-olds. No, but I can make their parents very uncomfortable. John pulled out his phone. Eva grabbed his hand. Stop, please. This is exactly what I was afraid of. What do you mean? This, Eva gestured around the penthouse. Your world, my world, they don't fit. You can solve problems with money and power. I can't. And the more we're together, the more people are going to say things. Are you going to threaten everyone who questions us? John set down his phone. If necessary, yes. That's not sustainable. Then what do you suggest? Eva took a deep breath. I think we need to slow down. John went very still. Slow down. We've been moving so fast. Maybe too fast. I need time to adjust to this, to figure out how to handle being John Lee's girlfriend without losing myself. You could never lose yourself. You don't know that? A month ago, I was invisible. Now I'm being photographed everywhere I go, talked about by strangers, having my entire life dissected online. It's overwhelming. John moved closer, taking her hands. Then I'll make it less overwhelming. No more public events, no more photographers, just us. It doesn't work like that. You know it doesn't. Eva felt tears building. I care about you, John, so much, but I need space to breathe. How much space? I don't know, a few weeks, a month. John's jaw tightened. A month. Please don't be angry. I'm not angry, I'm terrified. His voice cracked slightly. Eva, I've spent my whole life building walls. You're the first person who made me want to tear them down, and now you're asking me to step back. I'm asking you to trust me, to trust that this, us, is real enough to survive a little distance. They stood there, hands clasped, the city lights twinkling below like stars. Finally, John nodded. Okay, a month, but Eva. Yes. I'm not giving up on us. Whatever you need, whatever time you need, I'll wait, because you're worth waiting for. Eva kissed him then, soft and lingering, tasting like goodbye and promise all at once. When she left that night, her heart was breaking and healing simultaneously. The next 4 weeks were the hardest of Eva's life. She threw herself into school, into work, into being present for David. She avoided the news, social media, anywhere she might see John's face or hear about his life. John respected her boundaries. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits, just silence. It was exactly what she'd asked for. But it was torture. Her classmates noticed. You okay, Eva? You seem distant. Jennifer at work noticed. Did something happen with that handsome billionaire? Even David noticed. You can call him, you know, he wouldn't mind. But Eva was stubborn. She'd asked for space, and she needed to use it to figure herself out. Who was she without John? Without his money, his influence, his protection? She was Eva Anderson, 22 years old, student, worker, sister, survivor. And that was enough. It had to be enough. On the 28th day of their separation, Eva went to the building where John had taken her for their rooftop dinner. The renovation was further along now, walls painted, windows installed, the bones of something beautiful taking shape. She took the elevator to the rooftop garden. John was there. Of course he was there. He sat on a bench, staring out at the city, wearing jeans and a simple black sweater. He looked tired, and when he turned and saw her, the relief on his face was almost painful. "Hi," Eva said softly. "Hi," John stood but didn't approach. "It's been 28 days. "I know, I counted too. Did you find what you were looking for?" Eva walked closer. "I found myself. The person I was before you, the person I am with you, and the person I want to become. And John, all three of those people want to be with you." John's eyes widened. Yeah, if you'll still have me." John crossed the distance between them in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms, burying his face in her hair. "Always," he whispered. "Eva, always." They stood there, holding each other, as the sun set over Chicago and painted the sky in shades of gold and pink. "I love you," Eva said, the words spilling out before she could stop them. John pulled back just enough to see her face. "Say that again." "I love you, John Lee." He smiled, that rare, genuine smile that transformed his entire face. "I love you too, Eva Anderson. I have since the moment I saw you keep walking through that muddy water." He kissed her then, deep and thorough and full of promise. When they finally broke apart, both were grinning like idiots. "So what now?" Eva asked. "Now," John laced his fingers through hers. "Now we figure it out together. Your pace, your terms, your life. I'm just grateful to be part of it." That might be the least billionaire thing you've ever said. Love makes fools of us all. They sat on the bench, Eva's head on John's shoulder, watching the city come alive with evening lights. "John, oh, thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me, for waiting, for being exactly who you are." John kissed the top of her head. "Thank you for letting me." 6 months later, Eva stood on a stage at Roosevelt University, receiving her diploma in hospitality management. She'd graduated as the valedictorian of her class. Several hotels had already offered her management positions. Her future was bright, wide open, full of possibility. In the audience, David cheered so loudly he was almost escorted out by security. Next to him sat John Lee, dressed in a suit that probably cost more than the entire graduation ceremony, looking at Eva like she'd hung the moon. After the ceremony, they went to dinner. Not somewhere fancy, but to the diner where Eva used to grab cheap meals between shifts. "This place has the best pie in Chicago," Eva insisted, sliding into a worn booth. John looked around at the cracked vinyl seats and fluorescent lighting and smiled. "I believe you." David ordered chocolate cake. Eva got apple pie. John ordered coffee. "So," David said, pointing his fork at John, "when are you going to ask her?" Eva choked on her pie. "David." "What?" "I'm just saying you've been dating for like 6 months now. That's basically forever." John laughed. "Your brother makes an excellent point. Don't encourage him." But John reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Eva's heart stopped. "I was going to wait," John said quietly, opening the box to reveal a diamond ring, elegant and perfect. "I had this whole elaborate plan involving the rooftop garden and a string quartet and rose petals. But David is right. Why wait when I already know?" "John," she whispered. He slid out of the booth and knelt on the diner's sticky floor, not caring about his expensive suit or the other customers starring. "Eva Anderson, you changed my life. You reminded me that strength comes in many forms, that kindness is never weakness, and that love, real love, is worth every risk. Will you marry me?" Eva looked at this man, this beautiful, impossible, wonderful man, kneeling in a dingy diner, offering her the world. She looked at David, whose eyes were suspiciously shiny. She looked at her reflection in the window, at the woman she'd become, educated, confident, loved. "Yes," she whispered, then louder, "yes." John slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her, while the entire diner erupted in applause. The waitress brought them free pie. David took approximately 7,000 photos. And Eva felt, for the first time in her life, like everything had fallen into place exactly as it was meant to. Epilogue, 1 year later. Eva stood in the penthouse she now shared with John, looking out at the Chicago skyline. So much had changed. She was now the director of hospitality services for Apex Global Holdings, overseeing 5 luxury hotels across the city. David was in high school, thriving on the football team, straight-A student. The GoFundMe money had gone to a scholarship fund in her mother's name, helping other young women like Eva access education. Madison Pierce had sent a wedding gift, a donation to the scholarship fund, and a note that simply said, "Thank you for teaching me Grace." They'd never become friends, and there was peace between them, understanding. The door opened, and John walked in, loosening his tie. "How was the board meeting?" Eva asked. "Tedious, but I acquired a hotel chain in Miami, so productive tedium." He wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "How was your day?" "I hired 3 new managers, all women, all from non-traditional backgrounds." Eva leaned back into his embrace. "Your mother would be proud." "Our mothers would be proud," John corrected, "of both of us." They stood there, watching the sun set over the city that had brought them together through mud and kindness and impossible odds. "John," Eva said softly. "Oh, I'm pregnant." John went very still. Then he spun her around, eyes wide. "You're—" Eva nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Surprise." John laughed, a sound of pure joy, and lifted her off her feet, spinning her around. "We're having a baby." "We're having a baby." He set her down carefully, then dropped to his knees and pressed his ear to her still flat stomach. "Hello in there," he whispered. "This is your dad. I can't wait to meet you. I'm going to tell you all about your mom, about how brave she is, how strong, how she changed my entire world by just being herself. About how she walked through muddy water with her head held high and taught me what real strength looks like." Eva ran her fingers through his hair, her heart so full it hurt. "Our child is going to be so loved," she whispered. "Our child is going to change the world," John replied, "just like their mother did." Outside, Chicago sparkled with a million lights, each one a story, a dream, a life in progress. Eva's story had started with muddy water and cruelty. But it had become something beautiful, something real, something worth every struggle. Because sometimes, life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you need. And sometimes, just sometimes, those 2 things are the same. The end. Thank you for joining us on Eva and John's incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more heartwarming tales of love, resilience, and hope. Drop a comment below telling us your favorite moment. We read every single one. Until next time, remember, your story isn't over. The best chapters might be yet to come.